There are WWE superstars who have the ability and the status to refuse to do certain things that they simply don't want to do. It's a very different case for other superstars who have to do what they're told because otherwise they could end up getting fired. But anyway, today we're gonna go over the wrestlers who rebelled against authority in real life and didn't want to work with other wrestlers for different reasons. That's why I'll stop talking now, and today I'll present to you 14 WWE wrestlers who refused to work together. It only took one match for Randy Orton to end up permanently blocking Mr. Kennedy in WWE. This last wrestler was making his return to WWE in 2009. And during a match on Monday Night Raw, Kennedy delivered a back suplex that made Orton fall in the worst possible way. You could see Randy Orton's real annoyance that time. For Orton, this wasn't just a careless move, but rather an extremely dangerous one. Orton's fury wouldn't just stay in the ring. Several reports indicate that the Viper stormed into Vince McMahon's office after the match. He argued that it wasn't safe to work with Mr. Kennedy and that he would never wrestle with Kennedy again. Reports indicate that John Cena would join Randy Orton in this complaint, and together they convinced McMahon that Kennedy was not only a nuisance to them, but also a nuisance to the company. After that, we would then see WWE.com report that Mr. Kennedy had been fired from the company. And precisely that match with Orton would end up being his last fight. Randy Orton, despite having asked to never work with him again, apparently, along with John Cena, also requested Mr. Kennedy's firing. In multiple interviews, Mr. Kennedy claimed that Randy Orton blocked him in WWE. When you are the main face of WWE, you can really do whatever you want and have the pleasure of fighting whoever you want. In the late 90s, Stone Cold was the superstar who had WWE at the top, and when WWE tried to set up a match between Stone Cold and Jeff Jarrett, this match never happened for a very personal reason. That's because if we go back to 1997, we'll remember that Jeff Jarrett took the microphone on Raw and did his own segment where he went off script and used Stone Cold's iconic catchphrase, Austin 3:16. Jeff Jarrett accused Stone Cold of blasphemy in the middle of the ring and claimed that the Bible wasn't something you could just use to sell t-shirts. And this is where this big problem comes from. Because Austin wasn't aware that Jarrett would say these words, and to be honest, Austin was furious. On top of all this, they already had previous family grudges, and the truth is, Austin didn't get along very well. Also with Jeff Jarrett's father, since when Austin was a rookie, he worked in the father's company. And he said that Jeff's dad paid him way too little and treated him like he was nothing, while his son, Jeff Jarrett, got every possible opportunity. That resentment may have lasted for years, until at least Austin was able to have his own status and decide whether or not he wanted to wrestle Jeff Jarrett. After that, Jeff got lost in WWE until he was finally fired. But let's move on to another story. What do you think Stone Cold did when he didn't want to lose a match in WWE against Brock Lesnar? And the match was being promoted for that same night? Stone Cold has never had a problem saying that he takes great care of his reputation as a wrestler, and that in 2002 meant saying no to a qualifying match for the tournament, King of the Ring, where WWE wanted him to face Brock Lesnar and lose cleanly to him. Obviously, all of this was to build up Lesnar and give his character more credibility. Stone Cold said years later that he didn't want to lose to Lesnar in a match without a storyline, without a big payoff, and that everything was just given away for free. Just like that, meaning that his loss to Lesnar would be pointless and wouldn't have a great story to convince the fans that he really lost. Stone Cold openly said that he knew Brock Lesnar had potential and that he was the right one to take the company to the next level, but not in that way. But what happened? Why was the match with Brock Lesnar announced for that same night in WWE but didn't happen? It turns out that Austin left before the match and disappeared from WWE for 2 months, causing a lot of controversy and problems backstage. When Austin came back, WWE wanted to bury him publicly on the live shows. And you can't deny that all the fans did notice that. By the end of 2013, we could see that CM Punk was already completely unmotivated, his performance was dropping, and his creativity in the ring wasn't working. According to him, he felt it was unnecessary to fully commit to a company that opposed him. That's how when WWE offered CM Punk to face Triple H at WrestleMania 30, he refused. Punk not only said no, but he ended up leaving Vince's company, according to Punk. Years later, he said that when they offered him to fight Triple H, it wasn't just an insult to him. He knew that his big moment wasn't going to come that time, and that possibly Triple H would end up burying him at the biggest event of all. Although back then there was a lot of real tension between the working relationship of Triple H and CM Punk, what CM Punk did would even end up really bothering Triple H. Apparently things have changed now, and both have improved their relationship. The same thing that Austin did to Brock Lesnar, the Beast, Lesnar later did to Bray Wyatt, and when the Beast says no, it's no. For WrestleMania 39, the plan was for Brock Lesnar to face Bray Wyatt one-on-one, but reports say that Lesnar flatly refused to work with Bray. Lesnar, did he think that Wyatt's whole supernatural character would damage his image? And the thing is, Lesnar actually found Bray's character very hard to believe. I mean, imagine Brock Lesnar getting scared by Bray Wyatt's supernatural character. Not only would it make Bray look more incredible, but it would also hurt Brock Lesnar's credibility. From being a terrifying wrestler who destroys everything in his path. How could Lesnar possibly feel scared of Uncle Howdy? What kind of faces should Lesnar have made when Wyatt walked backwards? Anyway, it's clear that there was absolutely no chemistry in this match. When Chris Jericho arrived in World Championship Wrestling, he was quickly becoming a very popular character. And he was creating a feud week after week with Goldberg, whom he would annoy every chance he got on the mic. However, for this match to happen, there was only one problem, and that was Goldberg. Even though Chris Jericho wanted the match with Goldberg at all costs, the wrestler refused, claiming he didn't want to lower himself to face Jericho. Chris Jericho would call him out week after week, live and in the middle of the ring for a match. And Goldberg never showed up. Jericho said that Goldberg always felt he wasn't a main event wrestler. However, years later, the real hatred they had for each other erupted when they were both in WWE, and they ended up having a real fight backstage, where everyone says Jericho got the better of it. Another dream match that was supposed to happen at WrestleMania 18 was Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold. However, Austin completely ruled out competing against the Hulkster because, according to him, Hogan wasn't in good enough shape to put on a good show. This would provoke Hulk Hogan's real anger against Austin. And it's said that for a long time, they didn't talk to each other in real life. As his replacement, Stone Cold would face Scott Hall in a match that received a lot of criticism and also didn't live up to the event.